Hi folks, my name is Millennial Smark and I am back at it again with another video. So this is my second time actually recording this and honestly I'm exhausted. I recorded it with the microphone off, so hopefully I can run through this video. I'm going to run through this a lot faster than before because I feel like I just wasted a crap ton of time. So let's just jump directly into this video. Top Dog. Late comment, but do you think after that Cena and Theory promo on Raw, they should do a double turn between Cena and Theory, because Cena, in my opinion, was the heel in that segment? I can see where you're coming from, as you know, as far as looking at the segment itself, but also you have to remember, if you go out of your way and you turn Cena heel right now, and you turn Theory babyface when he hasn't really fully established himself as a heel yet, you run the risk of Cena being cheered and Theory being booed. So you'll get the same reaction now, just something a little bit more rambunctious, if you ask me. I see where you're coming from, but nah, I think the positions being played right now is they're the appropriate positions played at the moment. I see where you're coming from, but nah, you're gonna run the risk of doing something you really don't want to do. Blazing Bolts, do you agree with me that AEW would kill itself from within? Yes, I do. I made a whole video about it. AEW kills AEW. Memphis Wilson, at what point or points do you feel that WWE was dying or would lead to what we have today, and how can we save it? I think I've touched on this plenty of times, but for me personally, it was Kurt Angle and Charlie Haas. They had a match right before SummerSlam in 2004, and I was just getting ready for my entrance exam because I was supposed to go in my AP algebra class in my 7th grade year, or on in some algebra class, and I remember going to sleep rather than watching the match in itself. I just studied for said test, got myself prepared, and usually I would do that for a test when I was in school, and I just go to sleep in school itself, like, you know, during lunch, on the school bus, you know, when I was done with the testing itself. That time I just actually went to bed, and I'd never done that before, so that's something that I would call a pivotal moment for me personally. Objectively and overall, Stone Cold Steve Austin shaking hands with Vince McMahon, Rock going to Hollywood, WCW dying, ECW dying, WrestleMania 17. Love the show to death. For sure a landmark in regards to professional wrestling never being the same again. And I mean that statistically also. Check out some of the buy rates for Backlash compared to Backlash the previous year. Oof, that's a bad number, at least at the time. And how can we save it? More competent stories, more stars in professional wrestling. James Buttman, what is your favorite WrestleMania arena? 23. Yeah, 23. R. Angelo, why is Hollywood Hulk Hogan the best and your favorite black wrestler? Because he freed the slaves. That's why. Yeah, papa. The Tricky, have you ever been to a pro wrestling event in real life? If so, which ones do you regret not going to? Which ones do you regret not going to? Any that were near your location? Okay, probably should have read that a little bit more clearly, but I read it as it was written or typed, Mr. The Tricky. In real life, I've been to Armageddon 2002. Talked about that plenty of times, and I went to the show where Jericho came back in Fort Lauderdale. They were actually both in Fort Lauderdale, if I remember correctly. The show that Jericho returned to back in 2007. As far as what I wish I would have went to, just because it was in my backyard, I really wish I would have went to 28. That's the only one that I can think of as far as, like, you know, competently going to, because I was of age. Because I could say WrestleMania 24, but I was 16 at the time. I didn't have a job yet. I got a job later on that year, but even if that was the case, my mom was gonna let me go to Orlando by myself at the time. But as far as like something that could feasibly happen, 28. I was 20 years old, just got out of the military, had money on me. I could have easily went to that show, and I just didn't, sadly. Let me see. Andreli64. Who in your opinion is the best wrestler of the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020? So far, of the 80s, Hulk Hogan. Of the 90s, Austin. Of the 2000s, Triple H. Of the 2010s, John Cena. Of the 2020s, Roman Reigns. My opinion, and I'm sticking to it. Max Emerston, you think it? Excuse me. You think it would be wise? All these wires that I have hanging around my laptop. You think it would be wise for H to cut his losses and let the talent that's not performing go, and give those in NXT deserving of a break a chance. Also, should he find a way to get out of that contract of Bray Wyatt, where it's the biggest waste of money in WWE right now? To your NXT question, absolutely. I think I'm so done with this generation. Honestly, I'm so done with this generation of professional wrestling, and they've already shown their cards. They've shown their hand. We've seen what they could do. That's essentially it, in my opinion. It's not going to get better than what you're seeing currently right now. I think they're focusing on the wrong things. The generation of today, at least within WWE, NXT, I think they're being more so primed. You know what I mean? I think, for an example, you look at some of the stuff like JC Jane and Gigi Dolan, for an example. Braun Breaker's killing it. Yes, I'll take the L. Carmelo Hayes is absolutely killing it at the moment. I think those guys show way more personality. They have character. I think they're just a better fit for the company currently at the moment. And yeah, I will start phasing out some of this talent nowadays who have way too much bad habits compared to what NXT could probably bring to the table currently at the moment. And as far as the Bray Wyatt question is considered, I'll put it to you this way. 2 years ago, I made a video in regards to Bray Wyatt and being upset that he was released. I would not be upset if he was released today. Let's see. Damon, who were your favorite wrestling YouTubers before you started making videos? Trademark 629, Big Rat 310. I wonder how he's doing nowadays. Centers Robin 24, PS Power, OTRS Central. Yeah, those are probably my big five right there. Yeah, for sure. Let me see I can run through these questions a little bit faster. Shady Superstar, what wrestlers in the AEW roster could you see going to and succeeding in WWE? Wardlow, Will Hobbs, Britt Baker, she'd probably make it in my opinion. Yeah, that was the only three I could think of off the top of my head, at least. Opinion on Braun Breaker. Do you see Hunter booking him right and giving him a push? I think Braun is still a tad bit green. He has a very huge chip on his shoulder. He has a lot of potential, that's for sure. But I think he can be cultivated to be more than what he currently is at the moment. Would I bring him to the main roster right now? Probably not. I'd probably keep him a little bit longer in NXT and develop him a little bit longer. But he definitely has a lot of potential. And when he gets to that point, yeah, Triple H, I think he would do right by him, for sure. For sure. If for anything else, Vince would be in his ear. You made a video a couple of years ago that Parker Bourgeois should not go to AEW or NXT. He has now been in both. He is now currently in one of the feds. What is your opinion about him now? He sucks. He sucks. He sucks. And it's a shame too, because with Parker Bourgeois, I actually staked the lock on him. And what's buddy's name again too? Gable Stevenson. Where essentially I said to myself that, like, what did I say? I was like, oh, they're going to be WWE champions soon. Remember all that stuff I was talking about? They're going to be WWE champion. They're going to be this. They're going to be that. For them to be as green as they are right now is absolutely disappointing. And to be quite frank, I couldn't give two craps about them. Honestly, release both of them from their contracts and I really wouldn't care. They're not made for professional wrestling. Top Dog, do you think John Cena was the last megastar in wrestling that everyone knows? Yes. What do you miss what do you miss from the Ruthless Aggression era? Linear storytelling, for sure. You can say that about the Attitude Era also, but that's what I probably miss the most. I'm not going to talk about like blood or cursing or divas and all that other stuff, because I mean half that stuff AEW is doing currently at the moment, and it still sucks. And there's only so far women can get you if you have nothing else going with the product in itself. So that's why I'm saying linear storytelling. I feel linear storytelling from point A to point B would get wrestlers over to be superstars, and it just makes for a better viewing experience. Thoughts on the cartoon renaissance during the 2010s? Had a blast, man. Gravity Falls, Wander Over Yonder on Disney, Breadwinners, I think that's what it's called. The Loud House on Nickelodeon. Cartoon Network had the regular show. Gumball, Steven Universe, We Bear Bears. It was just a great time to be a cartoon fan, in my opinion. Some great shorts on YouTube also that no one really talks about. Yeah, I thought it was a great time. It was a great time. It's the Attitude Era, in my opinion, because you had the golden age with everything that was happening in the 90s. I think this was the Attitude Era of cartoon shows, in my opinion. Overall, it was a great time to be a cartoon fan at the time. And you're talking to a person who was an adult at the time, so I can only imagine how the kids felt. What's your favorite shows from Disney Channel during the 2000s? Even Stevens is my favorite live action show of all time. Period. I even put that over Drake and Josh, honestly. That's So Raven, love that show. I was a huge Lizzie McGuire mark at the time, for sure. It sucks now, but The Proud Family was a great show at one point, believe it or not. Kim Possible was great. Brady and Mr. Whiskers, that was a great show. Going a little bit old school with you guys, but The Famous Jet Jackson, rest in peace. That was a great show. Yeah, those are probably some of my favorite, but even Stevens, well above the rest. And actually, Gravity Falls, well, I guess that was the 2010s, technically. If you're expecting me to say Phineas and Ferb, no, I hate Phineas and Ferb. Lundula Productions, in your opinion, top 5 most influential artists of all time. Frank Sinatra, Elvis Presley, Buddy Holly, Michael Jackson, the Beatles. Boom. Honorable mention goes to James Brown, maybe even Jimi Hendrix. Let me see. Ryan Wilson, did you see the MJF post conference? Oh, yeah, I answered that comment already. Yeah, like I said in the comment, I seen it. And again, MJF, one of those talents where be great if you can actually show some talent and not do what I do every day. Cameron Jackson, do you also see 2015 Roman and current Braun Breaker? Yeah, a guy who hasn't really found his path yet given everything at the moment. Yeah, I could see that. A guy who's not really yet found a character. But the difference between Braun and Roman is that Braun is still incredibly young at the moment, whereas Roman was still in his 30s when he was trying to find his way. I don't think Braun is... Well, he's got to be like maybe in his late 20s, but he might be in his mid-20s. He has plenty of time left. Let me see. Kashan Ard, what kid networks did you prefer as a child? Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, or Disney Channel? Cartoon Network. Actually, in that order. Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, Disney Channel. But Cartoon Network well above the rest. I mean, usually I'd probably defer from answering these questions because I have a poll out, but even you guys agree Cartoon Network is the shiznit. Ryan Wilson, what do you what you think about how the evolution of in-ring wrestling with using a million moves today compared to in the past? So you think it's ruined wrestling? For example, I watched the Flair Steamboat and Chicago match. I think I can give you a good video to talk about. So they would do a simple chop, a headlock takedown, and nearly get a 3 count. They would slap each other so hard and nearly get a 3 count. They would go get near falls. So, okay, I get what you're saying for the most part. I made a video about that, pretty much talking about when I said the killing the finishing moves while they're going too hard in professional wrestling. I made like multiple videos on this. If you look at my perception playlist, and my thoughts are still the same. I think you're a great way. If you could get a guy in a headlock, take him down, and get the crowd popping for the most part, and you guys can tell a story surrounding that entire move, I think you're a great worker. If you guys can go in there and just throw haymakers the entire time without punching each other in the face, I think you're a great worker. But when you're going out there and you're hitting flips and kicks, there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get it wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. But if that's all you know how to do, I don't think you're a good talent. In fact, you're in the wrong field. Go do some gymnastics or go do some Cirque du Soleil bullcrap. Maybe go do some stunt double shows. I don't know. Guest 66. Just a quick question. But what would be your top 5 personal dream matches and interactions, which we never got? For example, Eddie Guerrero, Shawn Michaels, Kurt Angle, and Bret Hart. I actually thought about this not too long ago. I think I can come with 3 off the top of my head for you right now. Manami Toyota versus Asuka is number 1. It's something I would probably look forward to. Dean Malenko and Dynamite Kid is something I'd probably look forward to. Chris Benoit and Daniel Bryan is something I probably look forward to for sure. Foley, Bruiser Brody. They probably touched a few times in the past, but not enough for my liking. Brock Lesnar and Kane, I would love to see in a one-on-one match, in particular back in 2003. Honorable mention will probably be Taker and Sting, but that's more so for the story rather than the match in itself. Al Hankerson, what's your favorite films as a child? I'm actually more of a rom-com kind of guy, believe it or not. I'm definitely more of a rom-com guy. So honestly, I'd probably go with the Notebook with Ryan Gosling. believe it or not. Titanic is one of my all-time favorite movies. What's Eating Gilbert Grape? It's a great movie in my opinion. I'd probably go with those as far as what I watched as a kid. As far as cartoon shows, obviously, I'd probably look at, I was a big Disney head back then, so The Lion King, Jungle Book, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Toy Story 1 and 2, um, Pocahontas. There'll probably be some of those shows like that, probably. And your favorite films and Mulan, by the way. Actually, if you're asking my favorite film of all time, rather than just me rambling on, Scooby-Doo and Zombie Island would probably be it. Yeah, that's probably my favorite movie. Probably my favorite kids thing. Anything kids related between Ed and Eddie and Scooby-Doo and Zombie Island will always get my vote. Still, I can go back and watch the movie today and have no problems with it. And my favorite film as an adult, The Joker. The Joker, I'd probably go with. Paul Watson, what's a wrestler you personally believe should have been world champion but never was given their due opportunity to show move my cords out of the way, show it. Let me see. A person who should have been world champion but was never given the opportunity. It depends what you mean. If you're talking about WWE, I'd go with Rick Rude. But if you're saying overall, like in general, point blank, Roddy Piper. I think he should have been world champion around 85. Would have gave more drama for him and Hogan going into WrestleMania, the first one, in my opinion. DJ Saf. Since you despise current rap music, who were your favorite rappers back then, and when did you realize that rap was not your cup of tea? Always going to be Tupac and Nas. Those are my two favorite of all time. But going a little bit deeper, Tribe Called Quest, Pharcyde, what else? Black Souls of Mischief, Black Star, Cannabis is someone who I mess with. MF Doom is someone who I mess with. Old school Eminem for the most part. Big Pun, Big L. A lot of artists from the East Side. I'll tell you that much. There's not too many artists from the West Side. I know I don't consider Tupac West Coast. I'm sorry, but not too many artists from the West Side that I really mess with. To be perfectly honest with you, maybe Corrupt. That's about the only one from the Dog Pound, and not even the Dog Pound as a group as a whole, but just Corrupt by himself. As far as what the downfall of rap, oh god, T-Pain. He was probably my first instance when I hated rap music, and if you want to consider him R&B. Soldier Boy, all that do your chain hang low, does it wobble to the flow nonsense, that chicken noodle soup with a soda on the side, walk it out, all this stupid crap. That's what killed rap music for me. But if I had to pinpoint somebody more specific, if you consider him R&B, I won't say T-Pain, even though he was the first rapper who I thought was really stupid. But if you're gonna say strictly rap music, them Franchise Boys, Soldier Boy, probably go with those kind of guys. They were just terrible. They weren't even rappers. They were just viral hit makers. Real Countryman. What are the wrongs? Hang on for a second, guys. I blew out my candle. Let me see. What are the wrongs and rights about AEW? I mean, dude, you're on my channel. I made plenty of videos in regards to that. I mean, fundamentally speaking, the booking, obviously the presentation, the inconsistency when it comes to showing people on television, the way the show is mapped up as a whole, as far as the flow of the card. Just, you can look through my playlists, in particular, maybe my perception playlist, if you want more of regards towards that. But those are probably my fundamental reasons. Grunt Cannon. I read that. Okay, I got that already. Thoughts on why Bray Wyatt still has been released. Well, I made a video about that already. DX Man for Life. What made you start a wrestling commentary YouTube channel? Nothing too serious, honestly. Just constantly being blocked and censored and, by so many YouTube channels, being lost in the comments in general when I wanted to have a specific conversation that no one was willing to have or didn't really necessarily care about. Those would probably be some of my stronger reasons as to why I started a YouTube channel. Just want to have the freedom to say and do whatever I want and bring up any topic that I want to talk about. WG Phil, I know Chris Jericho is your favorite wrestler, so what are your top 5 favorite Jericho attires and top 5 matches? Oh, I mean, I wouldn't be able to go as far as the pants, or because I could tell you that I freaking love his red, silver, black tights from No Way Out 2001, and I love my all-time favorite pattern from Jericho is his abstract black, purple, and yellow tights. I think he has it on the SmackDown 1 and the PS1, and I think he wore it at the Royal Rumble 2001. Actually too, if I remember correctly. But those are probably my favorite ones. Wasn't a big fan of the highlight tights that he wore in 2003, in my opinion. He wore it way too many times for my liking. Let me see. Oh, and as far as matches are considered, oh, that's easy. Benoit in a lot of matches, my all-time favorite match of period. His match with The Rock at in my opinion personally, his match with The Rock at No Mercy 2001 is there. Tag team match with Benoit against Triple H and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Last minute standing match with Triple H. And last one, if I had to throw one out there, honestly, not thinking about it too hard. Shawn Michaels, No Mercy, 2008. I'll probably go with those. Or Gordon Boone. Are there any active wrestlers that you would say are doing the right things? That is to say, not constantly in spats on social media, not being overindulgent in terms of how they do their wrestling matches. I'll answer that question first because you have another one. Yeah, Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns carries himself with a lot of decorum, in my opinion. He's a guy who you should probably want to follow as far as doing the right things. Personally, Sami Zayn is a guy who carries himself pretty well too, for the most part, in my opinion. Let me see, and he's doing his things right as far as his matches and stuff are considered. Nobody in AEW, in my opinion, absolutely nobody. At least no one that matters, in my opinion. You could say Serena D for an example, but people who actually matter, not just matter to me. But those are probably the guys. Drew McIntyre is a nice representative, also, in my opinion. I'd probably go with him. Stupid goddamn cat. Shit will not go out. Let me see. Yeah, but those would probably be the guys right there. Probably go with Drew McIntyre. Probably go with Sheamus. Roman Reigns is the guy who carries himself pretty well. Walters, I think he carries himself with incredible decorum, in my opinion. Sami Zayn, I would say him, although he could be a little bit of a socialist sometimes. So there you go. Daniel Bryan too, for the most part. Also, are you considering doing any list similar to your top 100 WWE matches for other promotions, WCW and ECW? I'd have to get more familiar, honestly, because it was so easy to do it with WWE because, I mean, that's my main show. That's what I've been watching for over 25 years. I can, talk about the history of WWE like it's nothing. WCW, it's a lot more harder. I can, but it's a lot more harder as far as like investing myself, especially shows, if you want to go all the way back, towards because when you talk about WCW, you got to take into context WCCW, the NWA, GCW. There are a bunch of things you have to talk about, not just WCW in itself. And ECW, I have to get myself really familiar with ECW. Really, I have to, especially towards the 2000 period going forward. Ghost Rapper, who's your favorite band? Nirvana. Number 2, do you see anyone in wrestling becoming a star in the future? Braun Breaker for sure. He needs some tightening up, but yeah. Greatest filmmaker of all time in your opinion? Believe it or not, for me, I'm a Wes Craven mark, honestly. I love Wes Craven. But I'll probably go with Quentin Tarantino. Yeah. I mean, just, Kill Bill alone just takes over everything, but then you gotta throw in Inglourious Basterds, you gotta throw in, whatchamacallit, Pulp Fiction, obviously. Yeah, I'd probably go with Quentin Tarantino. Not Cornette, Queen of Nirvana. I mean, what do you want me to say? I just said it's my favorite band of all time, so yeah. And I love Freddie Mercury, but still, no. The Ultra Nerd 19. What would you say is the worst music genre? What would you say is the most underrated music genre? Worst music genre. If you're saying today, everything sucks, honestly. But worse, I do not like dance music. All that EDM, house music stuff, techno music, rave music. I hate dance music with a burning passion. That it just sucks. Takes no talent. It's just super duper obnoxious. Underrated music genre. You guys might not know the name of the. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But it's a subsection of alternative rock. It's called shoegaze, where it's like very noisy but very dream-esque type of pop music. For well, it's not even pop. It's like dream alternative rock. You know, like who are some shoegaze bands I could probably think of that's a little bit more mainstream for you guys to understand. Trying to think. I can't think of any mainstream ones. Um, I always thought of the Smiths as being a little bit more shoegazy. I mean, I know you can argue that they're more so, alternative rock, maybe proto punk to a certain degree. But I always thought of this. I always thought of the Smiths, the Sundays. To a certain degree, kind of. They have some dreamlike songs. The Smashing Pumpkins, in my opinion, I'd probably go with them. Lush, Deluxe, for an example. Yeah, I'd probably go with shoegaze. In my opinion, it's the most underrated music genre. Let me see. HS that ZO. What's your favorite rap diss track that's ever been made? Woo. I don't want to do a cop out. I forgot Buddies. No, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that. Of all time, that's hard. That's really hard. Eminem and not Cannabis. Eminem going after Jadakiss was dope. You know what? 3 6 Mafia had a song called "Live by Your Rep" where they dissed Bone Thugs and Harmony. It's just so disgusting and evil because the whole time they're just talking about how they want to literally murder Bone Thugs and Harmony. I'd probably go with that, but something a little bit more mainstream, probably Ether from Nas. Blazing Bolts. Let me see. Thoughts on Undertaker's comment on the wrestling locker rooms being soft now that 2 years have passed? Yeah, he's right. I mean, you guys seen all my videos as of late. Yeah, he's absolutely right. If anything, they've gotten even softer as time has gone by. Ever since he's talked, they've gotten even more softer, way more than when they were in 2021 in the beginning. Yeah, absolutely right. Brutally right. Out of every Metalhead Jack, out of every WWE SmackDown versus Raw game, which one stands out as your favorite and least favorite, and why? I actually got a video where I actually put out. I made it like 3 years ago where I talk about my top favorite wrestling games and my least favorite wrestling games of all time. My least favorite of all time, period, point blank, is WWE 13. Because it was just a glitched up mess, and just the fact that they touted so many cool things that I wanted to try out, and they were all broken and disappointing. They talked about branching cutscenes, but then said later, oh, it only happens 15% of the time. Who markets something that happens 15% of the time? Like, that's stupid. And it was just broken to all hell. You have a triple threat match as a glorified handicap match. Maybe it was specifically me, but I had this problem in my universe mode where, like, I would have a one-on-one match, and then the guy or the AI would just abruptly start walking away from the match. And then when you pin them, their kick-out bar would come on. It was a broken mess. And then when you jump online, you try to have fun with your friends. I don't know if you guys remember this about 13, but I just had a hard... It was impossible. It was so hard to lose a match. It was really... Like, either you kicked out at 1, or you didn't kick out at all. There was no 2 count at all. You guys remember that? The game was... freaking hate 13 with a burning passion. Game sucks. Favorite SmackDown vs. Raw 2006. The best AI of all time. Very much a lot of secret stuff that happened in the game that no one really talks about. I thought they had a lot of cool hidden tricks. Like, you would try to do a toe kick. I remember when I tried to do a toe kick with Shawn Michaels one time going against Kurt Angle, and he caught my leg and had a finisher and put me in an ankle lock, and I just thought to myself that was insanely cool. Environmental grapples, believe it or not, that was actually the first game to have environmental grapples as far as the SVR series or the SmackDown series is considered on the PS2. But it never gets talked about because it's not as direct as it would be in 2007 when they showed you control schemes. But they had environmental grapples in the game. Excuse me. The amount of match types was just incredible. I mean, the only thing that was bad about it was just backstage brawl. I wish we could have had more free roam at the time. Universe mode was just a treat. It was just to have universe mode, because I had SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 for my PSP, and to just have universe mode in your pocket, and you can just go to school and play it, and then go on the school bus and play it, and you could just continue it whenever you want. Oh god, that was so much fun. I would put my headphones on, turn on some music on my PSP, and just play the game. God, great times. Yeah, I had my favorite wrestling game of all time is SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 for sure. Um, what was Marco Segrio? Sorry, I'm so sorry if I'm butchering your name. Sagrio. Sagriro. Okay, I think I said it right. What was your best concert experience? Well, believe it or not, okay, so I've never been to like a legitimate band concert, because you gotta understand, all my favorite bands are older bands. You know what I mean? Like, and not to mention all the artists that I love. I mean, a good chunk of them are dead. You know, like Stone Temple Pilots, Scott Weiland's dead. Alice in Chains, Lane Staley's dead. Nirvana, Kurt Cobain is dead. Soundgarden, Chris Cornell is dead. So unfortunately, I never really been to a concert where I can actually get the full experience of actually, you know, seeing some of my favorite bands with some of my favorite frontmen and favorite guitarists. But as far as local shows, I mean, we got some local bands around here in Florida and Miami in particular that I've been to. Some underground punk rock bands. Like I got a curse, but it's their names. They're called the Fucks. I've been to them. It was a concert I went to in 2009. The Fucks, great band. Let me see, some garage punk bands. I got a friend. He had a pretty nice 20-person show that we went to. That was pretty cool back in 2006. He called his band Pumpkin Pie. But as far as legitimate mainstream bands, no. The only band that I probably would go out of my way to get tickets to probably watch today, maybe the Foo Fighters. That's about it, honestly. But if you got any more questions, we'll do this again later on down the line. I'll probably bring it back next week again. Who knows? We'll see where this goes. Don't forget, tomorrow is going to be the WrestleMania 24 review. We didn't do that last week, so I wanted to replace it after I got 5,000 subscribers. But as always, my name is Millennial Smark, and I will catch you guys later. Deuces. Peace. Catch you guys later.